the rock and roll intro. Thank you very much. I have not expected such a warm invitation. And true, the word because is super important in my mission, which is explaining and giving reason for young entrepreneurs, high-tech talents and people from all over the Central Eastern Europe to actually reconsider going to the corporation, working for somebody else, and choosing rather to work for their own in Central Eastern Europe, maybe in Poland, because of the factors that you just mentioned, and make something really significant, not only for yourself as a founders. Very often the main motivation is that you want to be rich and successful and accepted by your friends and by your colleagues, but also for your industry, for your society, and for all of the people who are taking part actively in all social endeavors and business missions. So after such an invitation, I will not say too much about Startup Hub Poland, because this is exactly, actually this is exactly what Kasia just 40 or 60 minutes ago said about Poland. This is our job. We advertise Poland, we say that Central Eastern Europe and Poland as its ambassador is one of the most fantastic places to start up business, and we give lots of because of the seed financing, because of the very rich grant opportunities, public subsidies that goes to the best startup, because of very fresh, I would say 5 stars infrastructure in Central Eastern Europe, and because of the very interesting growing up ecosystem of venture capital investors, business angels, seed investors, accelerators, and incubators. So, my dear friends here, I want to welcome you. I welcome old friends. I see some of you on the audience, but I also welcome, and predominantly, I want to welcome my new friends, my new colleagues, those of you who I see for the first time. I hope that we will make it a little bit shorter. Nino asked me that I'm very willing to deliver your request in this maybe 10 minutes talk of myself, and then I will move Maciej from the stage into the shadow and let our significant and beautiful guests to sit here with me and let them talk about Central Eastern European market in the digital era of seed and venture capital investment. But I promised Nino and Artur to tell you a little bit about these guys that I mentioned. So business angels, seed investors, venture capital groups. So summing it together, all of the people who have some extra capital and who are willing to invest this capital into very risky endeavors, very risky companies, very risky projects. Why I call them risky? Well, this is because of the very nature of the startup. If you have a project that is, for example, a hairdresser boutique or a carpenter office, you might make a very good business and become eventually very rich. But none of these guys, none of these kind of investors will invest serious money in your project, because these are the people who define their financial interest as finding 10, 15 projects that are super risky, but projects which give a promise of super exponential return on investment. I mean, investing 1 million today and getting back 15 million in 18 months or 24 months. So this is exactly by the way of defining high-risk transactions, we can define what is the startup. But also because we are on the Rockit and we want to rocket a little bit this kind of phenomenon, I will concentrate today solely on the projects that are digital, that are based on digits, that are determined to be something scalable because of the fact that they are online mostly, or somewhere encrypted deep in the code, not necessarily products or services delivered by normal people, but rather delivered by bots, by algorithms, by big data companies, cloud computing firms. And for this reason, I prepared a very, very long presentation, which obviously I will not have chance to present in the whole extent because of the promise I gave to Nino, but I can at least try to show you what are the criteria, the investment criteria for people who want to invest money in projects very often moderated, designed and executed by people even younger than me, and I'm super young, I'm 33 years old, so even younger than me, like 25 years old people, just after academia, just after the engineer diploma or after studies, who, we used to say, are digital natives. Their comprehension, I believe I can say it also as an academic teacher and person who is super interested in philosophy of mind, of artificial intelligence, they perceive reality in different way. Not only that they have an attitude much more business oriented that, let's say, the half of the generation upon me, but they also have skills which for me are semi-natural, but for them are supernatural. Like coding, you know, I had to learn it at school, and already people who have 15 years old, they just code because how not to do that, how not to be a funny engineer, wannabe engineer maybe one day. But if you have, on one hand, those IT, big data, digital endeavors, and on the other hand, money of people who are crazy enough to give this money to those little early stage firms, you definitely will find a special question necessary. What are the criteria of these guys to invest? Why they decide to invest in my project, not in other project? And why this question is super important, not only for me, who also is a partner in a seed fund, but for you, as I believe, for the members of this very elegant and beautiful audience. It is because some of you are PR managers, some of you are marketers or graphic designers, some of you are entrepreneurs. If in our ecosystem, let's take for the ecosystem only this dormitory, or let's say assembly hall, how you call it, like a class or whatever. We are a little ecosystem. If within this ecosystem we will have 2 or 3 entrepreneurs who will behave as a magnet and gather $1 million each, then all of us will have a job. Accountants, lawyers, graphic designers, coders, we will all participate in this investment. This investment is not for one brilliant single wolf, it's for the whole group of people and for their outsources supporters. So having said that, we need to point out our attention to a few factors that I just listed in this slide. A venture capital fund or a business angel or a seed fund, these are organizations that perfectly understand this project or that project or maybe that project of yours may fail. This is why they invest not in one project in a year, they invest in plenty. I say 10, 12, 15, you may name it, but it's more than one. It's a diversification of their risk. And they really expect all of these projects to be super successful and to increase value of this project. But in fact, and on the back of their head, they understand that project number 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, and 11 will collapse. That projects number 6, 8, and 9 will be average, but one of these projects, I don't remember which number I used already, but one of these projects from this portfolio will be a superstar, will be a Spotify, if you like, Skype, or Alibaba. And these guys exactly understand the fact that if they want to have one success, or let's say 1.5 success, or 2 successes a year, they need to expect from the founders, so from people like you and your teams, to present project that can possibly be scaled up in exponential way, like a hockey stick in this kind of curve. It means that with a very little or very humble investment, they want to have technology, idea, business model, and a very competent team which will develop products and services which will bring income far more greater than the expenses of the normal organization, like all of the costs. And This phenomenon starts in Central Eastern Europe. I am smoothly transitioning your attention to people who will in a second appear on this very stage with me, because I don't know, the first venture capital transaction in Poland, probably it was Wirtualna Polska, as I recall that, as I remember the story, like back between 20th and 21st century. And this movement started really massively in Poland. Right now, my foundation, together with National Center for Research and Development and Polish Association of Investment of Private Investors, we make a list, a catalog, a database, a tool of all that contains all of the transactions, high risk, high tech transactions, very much digital, very much internet native project as well, which took place in Poland. And you know what? A few years ago, I would say 5 years ago, we had in Poland 20, 25 active volcanoes. So those volcanoes which were producing some kind of steam and some kind of energy. Right now we have over 60. So these numbers actually display significant hope for me. I see that more and more guys, girls and boys are willing to invest their money into your businesses. So having said that, and knowing that Katarzyna already answered all of the becauses, because this, because that we started with, I can actually tell you only one very short remark, which is, the corporate is great, of course, it's secure, you may meet cool people, you may be involved in interesting projects, but usually, and this is the way how corporates is operating, you might, as Marx probably said back in the 90s, you will not sense very much that the success of the whole organization also belongs to you, that your actions and your compassion, your motivations actually gave the fruit of an effect, of a success. In startup, it's very much welcomed. And startup right now are the subject of enormous fashion. Everybody wants to have a startup or has a startup or will have startup soon. There are even urban legends that there is a guy somewhere in Radom that doesn't have his own or her own startup. But these are just rumors. Right now everybody wants to have a startup. So if we together work a little bit more in a more networked and more coordinated way, very plausibly, venture capital, business angel, and seed investors will find our ecosystem more and more attractive and deliver to this ecosystem something that we need to breathe, which is money, smart money to develop these businesses and, of course, make Central Eastern Europe proud, recognizable, acknowledged in a global stage. I thank you very much for having me here today on Rockit. I'm really happy because Central Eastern Europe is something really close to my heart. Right now I will give the microphone to you, and if you would be so kind, you have to repeat exactly that what you've done with me and introduce our guest, because probably with all my rhetorical skills I will do it like 3 times worse than you.
Don't worry, I think we're just gonna do it as we did during the first panel. We're going to invite them on stage, and thank you very much. And each of them will just say 1 sentence about them. So we go on, okay? Because now comes the panel, but wait, Maciej, everybody gets a one-liner from me. So one-liner, okay?
Sure.
My one-liner for Maciej would be, startups give you the personal feeling of success.
Thank you very much.
Okay.